Okay, Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. So we have come to the last topic for this subject, which is topic 8, okay, which is on the second part of the market structure. So in the previous topic, we have learned about the two market structures, which are perfect competition as well as monopoly. So we have looked at how these firms, okay, in these two market structures are making different types of profit called supernormal profit, okay, which is economic profit. Also normal profit, which is called break even, okay, and also subnormal profit, or also known as economic losses. Okay, so in this topic we are going to look at in detail the characteristics of two more market structures that we have in an economy, which is monopolistic competition, and the other one is oligopoly. Okay, so now, okay, let's look at the next topic. Okay, we are going to look at the monopolistic competition first. Okay, so what is a monopolistic competition market? Okay, it is a market structure where there are large number of small sellers. Okay, so basically the same as what we have in perfect competition market. Okay, those sellers are small sellers and we have a lot of sellers in this market. Okay, so this first characteristics is basically almost the same as what we have for perfect competition. But the difference here is that, okay, the difference is that they are selling differentiated product. In perfect competition market, they are selling identical products. Okay, produknya sama sahaja, homogeneous. But in this market structure, they are selling differentiated product, produk yang boleh dibezakan. Okay, how do they differentiate this product? Is by putting a brand, okay, on their product. So we are going to look at that in detail later on. Okay, and then their products have close substitute. Okay, they have a lot of competitors in the market, and it's relatively easy to enter the market. Okay, it's easy for other firms to enter this monopolistic competition market. Okay, so now let's go into detail. Okay, the first characteristic is there are large number of sellers. Okay, no individual firm can influence the market price, meaning there is no dominant firm that can set a certain level of price for the market. Okay, so each of the firm in the market will set their own price. Okay, and their price will not be affected by the price of the other firms. So they follow an independent price output policy. So their price is depending on how much their production is, what is their cost of production. Okay, so that's how they set the price in this monopolistic competition market. Okay, and then they are selling differentiated products. Like I said just now, their products can be differentiated, okay, because each of the product will have different packaging, different design. They will have their own labeling. They can advertise their product, okay, and they can have their own brand name. So basically, in monopolistic competition, they are selling the same. They can sell the same type of products, but these products that they sell can actually be differentiated by putting different labeling and different brand on their packaging, for example. So let's say if you have toothpaste, you actually have different brands of toothpaste. You can have Colgate, you can have Dali, and you can have what else? Sensodyne, for example. So they are selling toothpaste, okay, which is the same type of product, okay, but the brand could be different. Okay, the price will be different and the quality is also different. Okay, and they can also be used for different purpose. Okay, so these are example of what we call as differentiated product. Same product but differentiated based on their brands or their labeling. Okay, free entry and exit into the market. Okay, it is almost the same. If you look at this characteristic, it is actually almost the same as what we have in perfect competition. It is easy for other firms to enter the market and exit from the market. But for this case, for monopolistic competition, it is not as easy as perfect competition because of the existence of product differentiation. Meaning, in order for you to enter the market, what you need to do is you have to make sure that if your product, the product that you want to sell in the market already exists in the market, okay, or is already sold by other sellers in the market, you need to make sure that when you come into the market or you enter into the market, your product is different from the other product. Meaning you are selling the same type, but consumers can differentiate your product from the other sellers. Okay, meaning maybe you can come up with your own brand, come up with your own type of packaging or labeling, come up with your own quality, and you set your own price. So that is what you need to prepare when you want to enter this kind of market, which is monopolistic competition. So it's easy to enter, but you need to come up with your own idea in terms of the products that you want to sell, okay, and the branding and so on. So that is the only barrier lah, okay, the only restriction when you want to enter this market. So not as easy, but you have to need your own. You need to have your own innovation, or you need to have your own product, okay. And then role of non-price competition is significant, which is not like what we have in perfect competition. Perfect competition, the role of non-price competition is not significant, meaning it's not important. You don't need to advertise in perfect competition, you don't need to advertise your product because your products are the same with the products sold by the other sellers. But in monopolistic competition, the products that you sell can be different from the products that is sold by the other sellers, okay, in terms of branding and so on. So it is actually important for you to advertise your product. Okay, you can advertise by promoting the quality. For example, maybe you can say that your product has better quality as compared to products sold by the other sellers. Okay, you sell the same product, but your product is of better quality. Maybe that is how you can advertise lah. So it is significant because you have a lot of competitors in this market. Okay, this market has a lot of sellers. So you need to make sure that your product is better as compared to the other sellers. Okay, so non-price competition in this market is significant, is important. Okay, and then next one is in terms of the selling cost. Okay, so in monopolistic competition, you will incur different selling cost. Okay, every seller will have their own selling cost. Okay, depending on what expenditure you make, okay, to promote your product. For example, in terms of spending on advertisement. Okay, if you want to make sure that your product is have the spotlight as compared to the other products, you need to advertise. You need to spend a little bit of money for advertisement and promotion. So you will incur additional selling costs in this market, monopolistic competition market. Okay. Okay, now let's look at the graph for monopolistic competition. Okay, in order for us to determine the types of profit that these firms in monopolistic competition make, okay, we are going to look at the curve for average revenue as well as the curve for marginal revenue and so on. So if you look at this slide here, you actually notice that the graph is basically the same with what you found in monopoly market. You have the average revenue bigger than the marginal revenue. So the average revenue curve is above the marginal revenue curve. So in this case, how would you differentiate between the graph for monopoly and the graph for monopolistic competition market? Okay, so the difference is actually in terms of the elasticity. Okay, elasticity. So in monopolistic competition, if I were to compare monopolistic competition and monopoly, okay, so monopolistic competition, like what we have discussed in the previous slide just now, okay, is a market where there are a lot of sellers, meaning there are a lot of competitors, okay, selling basically the same products, okay, differentiated by branding or labeling. But in monopoly, there is only one seller. So in monopolistic competition, there are a lot of sellers. Okay, therefore there will be a lot of substitution for the product. Okay, product substitution will increase. But for monopoly, there is only one seller. Therefore, the product has no substitution. Okay, so for monopolistic competition, okay, consumers or buyers, they have a lot of options to buy. So if let's say seller A increase the price of their product, consumers can actually buy from seller B or seller C, which is where the price is way cheaper, meaning they have substitute for the same product. Let's say if you want to buy milk, you have actually a variety of options. You can actually buy from Dutch Lady, for example. You can also buy from Good Day, okay, or you have Farm Fresh. So you have a lot of options, okay, for the same product. So if Dutch Lady increase their price, you still have option for Good Day and Farm Fresh. So the demand in this kind of market will be elastic, meaning it is easy for consumers to shift their demand from purchasing from one seller to purchasing with the other sellers. Okay, if let's say this seller increase the price, you can actually purchase from the other seller. So your demand will be very responsive. That is elastic. But in monopoly market, you don't have any option. By hook or by crook, whether you like it or not, even if this monopoly firm increase the price of their product, okay, you still need to buy from this seller because you don't have any option. Therefore, your demand will be inelastic. You will not be too responsive towards the change in the price in this monopoly market due to not having any options. So how do you draw the graph for monopolistic competition and monopoly? So you have this x-axis and y-axis here. So let me label this one first. Okay, so you label this one as quantity on the y-axis for both graph. Then you have here the price and the cost. Okay, for this case, I will just do the price because I'm just going to show you the average revenue and the marginal revenue. Okay, so how do you draw the average revenue curve and the marginal revenue curve for these two market structures? Okay, so since the monopolistic competition, the demand for monopolistic competition is more elastic. Let me put it here, elastic, because there are a lot of substitutions for the product. So when you draw the average revenue, your curve will be a bit flatter. Okay, like this. And you draw another curve for marginal revenue. Okay, like this. So label this one as average revenue or price, and this one is marginal revenue. And if you want to draw the demand curve, this one is demand curve. Okay, demand or price or average revenue, which is on the same graph. So for monopoly, if you want to draw the average revenue or demand curve, the curve will be a bit steeper. Dia cerun sikit. Okay, steeper. So you will have another one for marginal revenue. Okay, that one. So label AR equals to price equals to demand. This one is marginal revenue. Okay, so an elastic demand will be a bit flatter. Sorry, this one flatter, a flatter curve, and an inelastic demand will have a steeper curve. Okay. Alright, so that is a difference between monopolistic competition and monopoly. Okay, a market. Alright, for profit maximization in the short run, okay, it is basically the same with what you have done for monopoly market. Okay, you have the average revenue, you have the marginal revenue, the ATC, as well as the MC, the marginal cost. And in monopolistic competition, you will also earn either three of the profits. Okay, economic profit or supernormal profit, or you can also earn break even, or the other name for it is normal profit. And you can also earn what we call as economic losses. You are making losses, which we call as subnormal profit. Okay, so for this one, okay, you are making economic profit or supernormal profit. The method, okay, for you to find the area of profit is basically the same. So I don't think I need to repeat this one here. You can actually refer to the video for the previous topic for monopoly firm. Basically the same thing. Okay, so when you want to earn economic profit, you have to make sure that your total revenue is bigger than your total cost. That is the condition. First, you have to find the MR equals to MC lah. Okay, as usual. Okay. Alright, this one. Okay. Next is break even, where the total revenue must be equal to the total cost. So you notice here the area of total revenue will be the same with the area of total cost. Okay, because your minimum ATC is touching the average revenue curve right here. Okay. Alright, and then next is for economic losses, where the total cost will be bigger than the total revenue. Okay, so this is where you have your ATC above the average revenue curve, your minimum ATC. Okay, so the area of total cost is bigger than the area of total revenue, so that's where you get your losses. So basically the same thing. Okay, now, okay, for monopolistic competitive firms, okay, in monopolistic competition market, in the long run, just now is for the short run, this one is for short run production. Okay, and in the long run, okay, we assume that monopolistic competitive firms will earn normal profit, or they will be at break even. Okay, why? Because monopolistic competitive firms, they have a lot of competitors. Okay, they have a lot of their products has a lot of substitutions, so it's hard for them to actually make supernormal profit or huge profit. Okay, like what monopoly can do. Monopoly can earn supernormal profit in the long run because they don't have any competitors. So for monopolistic competitive firms, we assume that they earn minimum of or maximum of normal profit. Okay, we continue with the next market structure, which is oligopoly. Okay, so this is a market structure where there are only few firms. Okay, meaning not so many firms, maybe less than 10 firms in this market. Okay, and selling either standardized or differentiated products. Okay, meaning their products can be differentiated, or their product can be, the characteristics of their product can be very close to each other. Not really identical, but very close to each other. Okay, and there are a little bit of restriction in terms of entry and exit from the market. Okay, so there is a little bit of barriers here. Okay, I'm going to focus on that later on the details of the characteristics. Okay, so let's look at the first characteristics of oligopoly market. Okay, which there is only few number of firms. Okay, the number of firms is small, but the size of the firms is large. So basically, there are only a few firms in this oligopoly market, but these firms are large firms, not small firms like what you have in perfect competition market or monopolistic competition market. Okay, and they are selling either homogeneous or differentiated products. Okay, their products are not really identical like what you have in perfect competition, but they are, like I said just now, the characteristics of their product are somehow close, okay, with each other. Okay, and they have these important characteristics where they are mutual interdependence, meaning what we mean here is in oligopoly, the firms will always look into what their competitors or their rivals are going to do in the market. For example, in terms of changing the price or in terms of making advertisement or so on. So if let's say firm A is changing the price of their product. Let's say firm A is reducing the price of their product. What firm B and firm C or firm D will do in this market is there is a tendency for these firms to also reduce the price of their products. Okay, so they are looking at what their rivals are doing. If let's say firm A is coming out with their own advertisement, okay, what firm B, firm C and firm D will do is they will also come up with their own advertisement. So that is example of mutual interdependence. They will always look at what their competitors do in the market. Okay, and then barriers to entry. Okay, there will be some restriction for other firms to enter the market due to control over resources, which is almost the same with what we have in monopoly. Okay, and also some of examples of barriers to entry for oligopoly is in terms of customers' loyalty, okay, on the products, their quality, or maybe they have been long enough in the market to actually become monopolists. Okay, these firms can become monopolists of the market, meaning other firms, it's hard for other firms to actually compete with the existing oligopoly firms. Okay, so that is in terms of barriers to entry. Okay, also in terms of patents and copyright, which we have looked at in monopoly market. Okay, financial requirements, meaning you need huge capital, okay, modal yang sangat besar to start up a business or to open a business in this oligopoly market. Okay, and also legal barriers, meaning permission by the central authority or the government. Okay, let's look at what do we mean by price rigidity, which is related to kink demand curve for oligopoly. I'm not going to stress on the kink demand curve right here. Okay, but I'm going to stress on the concept of price rigidity in oligopoly market. Okay, because of the characteristic that I mentioned just now, which is mutual interdependence between oligopoly firms, okay, there is no tendency for the price in oligopoly market to change. Okay, if you look at the examples that I gave just now, okay, in this case here, okay, you can see that when a firm, an oligopoly firm, is changing its price, or is making changes to its price, what will happen is the other firms will also change their price. So usually the price for a certain product in this oligopoly market will not vary that much. Okay, usually for a particular type of product, the price will be consistent. Okay, the price set by each of these oligopoly firms will be consistent. If let's say firm A is selling at let's say firm A is selling car, is a car manufacturer. Okay, so seller A is selling its car at RM 50,000 for example. So what firm B, C and D will do is they will also keep their price close to 50,000. So their price will not vary that far or vary that much from what has been set by the other firms. That is what we mean by price rigidity, or what we call as price stickiness. There is no tendency. Price rigidity means there is no tendency for price in oligopoly firm to change. Okay, firms will not try to change the price of their products because it will give impact on their total revenue. Okay, so the theory of kink demand curve is based on two assumptions. Okay, the first assumption is in the case of oligopoly firm reduce its price. If let's say the firm reduce its price, what will happen is their rivals will follow, their competitors will follow. Like what I have shown here. Okay, you can see that when one firm is reducing its price, the other firms will follow because they don't want to lose the market shares. Okay, and second assumption is, okay, a second situation is if a firm in the oligopoly market increase its price, what the rivals or the competitors will do is they will not increase their price and they will keep their price the same. Okay, because when they keep their price the same, the oligopoly firm that has increased its price will lose their market share. Okay, because when they increase the price, what will happen is, you look at the law of demand, when they increase the price, the demand will reduce. So the other firms will not follow this oligopoly firm which has increased its price. So the situation here is, if a firm reduces its price, the other rivals will follow. But if a firm increase its price, the other rivals will not follow. Okay. Okay, now let's look at a few theories or a few terms for you to understand what do we mean by mutual interdependence in this oligopoly market. Okay, the first one is we are going to understand about price leadership. Okay, so price leadership means a pricing strategy. Okay, this is a strategy that is usually practiced in oligopoly market. So what do we mean by price leadership is, like what I have said just now, if there is one firm changing the price, okay, in the market, what will happen is the other firms will also follow. Okay, so there are two types of price leadership. Okay, the first one is what we call as a dominant price leadership. Okay, so this is a case where a dominant firm in the market will change the price. Okay, dominant firm change the price in the market. Okay, and what the other firms in the oligopoly market will do is the other firms will follow. Okay, the reason being is this dominant market is considered as, is usually a market that has the largest market share. This dominant firm is usually the firm that has the largest market share in the oligopoly market, and this dominant firm is considered as the firm that is long enough in the market and they know a lot about the market strategy, the pricing strategy, and so on. So the other firms believe that if they follow this dominant firm, okay, they are actually making a good changes, okay, to their firm. So this is what we call as a dominant price leadership. Okay, usually the dominant price leader firm can act as a monopoly where it sets its price to maximize profit, and the other firms will also set their price at the same level. Okay, the other type of price leadership is what we call as barometric price leadership. So this is a situation where there is one firm change the price, and this firm is not a dominant firm. Okay, and what will happen is the other firms will also change their price. Okay, they will follow what this firm is doing. Okay, this is because, like what I have explained just now, they don't want to lose the market share. Okay, if they keep their price at the original price, okay, what will happen is the customers will run to this firm only. Okay, and they will lose the market share. Okay, so that is barometric price leadership. Okay, the second type of strategy is what we call as cartel. Okay, cartel is a group of firms whose objective is to limit the scope of competitiveness. Okay, cartel is actually a combination of a few oligopoly firms. Okay, for example, if let's say you have 10 firms in the oligopoly selling the same product, okay, what will happen is maybe 5 or 6 or 7 of the firms will combine or will come to an agreement, okay, to form a cartel, okay, which is a combination of these firms working together and eventually will be very powerful in the economy, and they will be very close to a monopoly power. Let's say you have a few oligopoly firms. For example, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 oligopoly firms in this market. And a cartel can be formed by combining these firms. Okay, let's say you have 6 firms here which come to an agreement to form a cartel. So what kind of agreement that they do is, okay, they will come to an agreement in terms of the production, okay, the production target, okay, how much they want to produce for the market, in terms of fixing the price, okay, how much, what is the price that they want to set for their product, okay, in terms of their marketing strategies, okay, and a few other cooperation in terms of management and so on. So they basically, okay, they are basically reducing the cost of production by combining all this, okay, and it is done in just one organization instead of done individually, okay, by each individual firms. So when you combine all this in one organization, you will save a lot of money, okay, in terms of the cost of production. So that is the benefit of forming a cartel here. Okay, and one example of the most famous cartel is OPEC. Okay, OPEC is basically an organization where there are 13 member countries ataupun oil producing countries, okay, oil exporting countries. Okay, so OPEC has 13 member countries, and these countries are oil exporting countries. Okay, so example of countries, member countries included in OPEC are like Middle East countries, for example, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, and you have also United Arab Emirates, and you have also other countries like Venezuela and Nigeria, Libya, and so on. So you have 13 member countries. The current one is 13, and these 13 member countries will cooperate in terms of producing oil and also fixing the price that will actually give impact to the whole global economy. Okay, so cartel agreement is an arrangement among the oligopoly firms to cooperate with one another, like what I said just now, okay, in terms of cooperation. And when they act together, they can actually form a power very close to a monopoly power. Okay, an ideal cartel can be powerful or will be very powerful to establish a monopoly price, and they can also earn supernormal profit. Since they are very powerful, they can actually control the price, okay, of the production. For example, OPEC just now, they can actually control the price of oil, and the price that is set by this OPEC, these 13 member countries in OPEC, is they can actually give impact on the global price. That is how powerful OPEC is in terms of fixing the price of oil. Okay, profits are divided among the firms based on their individual level of production. Each member countries or each oil producers can actually have their own profit, okay, depending on the cost of production. So if you look at the last statement here, each firm will sell different quantities and obtain different profits, okay, depending on the level of average cost at the point of production. So how can they maximize their profit is they can adjust the cost of production, because every countries can produce all at different cost of production. Okay, so that it depends on how they manage the cost of production. If they can minimize the cost as much as possible, then they can gain as much profit as possible. So that is cartel agreement. Okay, and then we have what we call as non-price competition. So non-price competition is what I have already explained before, okay, which means that these firms can actually compete, okay, with using factors other than price. Okay, so example of non-price competition, okay, is the most famous one is advertisement. Okay, advertisement. And we also have spending for other types of marketing strategy, and also competition in terms of after sales service or promotion, service or promotion, or giving free gifts and so on. So for example, if you are a car manufacturer or a car supplier, you can have after sales service. For example, when you can for example offer free services, okay, car services after you have purchased the car for, let's say, for 1 year or for 2 years, or free labor charge, for example. So that is an example of non-price competition. So now we want to differentiate between price competition and non-price competition. Price competition meaning when one firm is cutting their price or reducing their price. Okay, what is the impact? Is the reaction from the competitors or the rivals will be very quick. Okay, if one firm change or reduce the price, the other firms will quickly, okay, reduce their price as well. Okay, and when this happens, there is a tendency for price war to occur. Okay, persaingan ataupun peperangan dari segi harga. So it is actually not very healthy for the producers or for the firms, because eventually they will make losses, okay, or their total revenue will reduce. But the person or the party that will get benefit from this price cut is actually the customers, because they actually can buy these products from these firms at a cheaper price when the firms cut the price of the product. Okay, so the benefit is to customers, but the disadvantages is on the firms. Okay, and if you opt for non-price competition instead of price competition, okay, the impact is it will attract more customers to the firm, because customers believe, okay, when they look at the advertisement, they believe that this firm is actually better than the other firms, maybe in terms of the quality and so on, and the product variation, okay, as compared to the other firms. So maybe the impact from competitors is a bit slow. Okay, let's say if firm A come out with their advertisement, maybe firm B or firm C will not do the same. Okay, because when they want to advertise their product, they need to make sure that their product is better than the firm that is making the advertisement. So they need to come up with something different in order for them to compete in terms of advertisement or non-price competition. So that is the difference between price competition and non-price competition. Okay, now let's look at the differences between the 4 market structures that we have learned from topic 7 and this topic in general. Okay, so we have a few factors here. So we have 4 market structures: perfect competition, monopoly, monopolistic competition, and oligopoly. And we have a few factors, which is in terms of the number of sellers. So in perfect competition, there are a lot of sellers. Okay, many sellers in perfect competition market. In monopoly, there is only one seller, single seller. In monopolistic competition, there is also many sellers like perfect competition. In oligopoly, there is only few, not too many, but not just one. Okay, so that is only a few, ada beberapa sahajalah. In terms of the products sold in the market, for perfect competition, they can either sell, they are selling identical or homogeneous product. Okay, the products that they are selling cannot be differentiated by the customers. For monopoly market, their product is very unique. No other firms are selling the same product, and their product has no close substitution. In monopolistic competition, their products can be differentiated by putting different labeling, packaging, or branding on the product. In oligopoly, they can either sell homogeneous, products that have almost the same characteristics with each other, and they can also sell differentiated products. Okay, they can also put different brands on their product. Okay, entry condition. Okay, for perfect competition, it is very easy for other firms to enter the market. For monopoly firm, it is quite impossible for other firms to enter the market because there are a few barriers to entry. Okay, and for monopolistic competition, it is relatively easy but not as easy as perfect competition. Okay, because of branding and labeling, meaning if you want to enter monopolistic competition market, you need to come up with your own idea, your own branding, and so on. But for oligopoly, okay, to enter the market, it is quite difficult. Not as difficult as monopoly, but there are a few barriers or a few restrictions when you want to start a firm or a business in oligopoly market. Okay, in terms of control over price, for perfect competition, if you are in perfect competition market, you have no control over the price that you want to set for your product because you are price takers. Okay, in this case, you are price takers. You only accept the market price in the market. Okay, and for monopoly, you have some control over the price depending on what type of product you are selling. If let's say you are selling necessity products, usually you don't have that much control over the price. For example, if you are the electricity provider like TNB, you cannot set the price that is too high. Okay, because electricity is considered as necessity. Okay, but if you are selling luxury products like Astro, okay, providing satellite TV channels, okay, you can actually put higher price. Okay, if buyers or customers want to subscribe to your service, they can subscribe. If they cannot afford, then it's their choice. Okay, for monopolistic competition, you have some control over the price depending on how different your product is as compared to the other sellers. Okay, so if you are producing product with better quality, then you can set a higher price for your product. In oligopoly, considerably you have some control over the price, but usually when you want to change the price, you will look at what your rivals will do. If your rival change your price, if your rivals change their price, then there is a tendency for you to change your price as well. Okay, so these are examples of firms or sectors in each of the market structure. The profit maximizing point is the same. This is where MR equals to MC. Okay, and then next, okay, in the short run, the types of profit that the firms in each market structure can earn is the three types of profit just now: subnormal, supernormal, and normal profit. So every firms in every market structure can earn the three types of profit in the short run. But in the long run, okay, perfect competition can only earn normal profit because other firms can easily enter the market and compete with the existing firm. So it's hard for the firms in perfect competition to make huge profit in the market. So usually they will earn normal profit, not so much profit. Okay, a monopoly firm can earn supernormal profit in the long run because there is no competitors. It's hard for other firms to compete with a monopoly firm. And for monopolistic competition, also you can earn normal profit. You can also earn supernormal profit depending on your product variation. Okay, because in monopolistic competition, it's quite easy for other firms to enter the market. For oligopoly, okay, you can earn supernormal profit because it's not easy for other firms to enter the market. So it's the same with monopoly. Okay. Production efficiency at minimum ATC. For perfect competition, okay, since they are price takers, Okay, in order for them to get as maximum profit as they can, the way that they can do is, or the thing that they can do is, they can reduce or they can produce at the minimum price as possible. Okay, that is how they gain maximum profit. But for other imperfect market, they don't need to produce at minimum ATC. Okay, the shutdown point is basically the same. Okay, where their average revenue must be the same with their price, or their average revenue must be the same or equal to the minimum AVC. Okay, alright, so that is basically for topic 7 and topic 8 on market structure.